There we go. How's everyone? Oh, let's get wait a few minutes or a few couple seconds for everyone to get in here. Anyone who wants to watch can. Let's get some viewers in here first, real quick. Let's see here. We got one. Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. People can join in here shortly. So for those of you who haven't been paying super close attention, the Attorney General of Kentucky will be delivering his decision on the Breonna Taylor case today. So hello, welcome back. I know yesterday I said that I was going to be doing this show discussion thing, whatever you want to call it, once a week, but there is a ton of news breaking this week, and so I would be remiss if I did not do at least one show every single day because there is so much information, and I want to get to all of it. So today, as the title and description would indicate, we'll be talking about the Breonna Taylor case. I know this case is surrounded in controversy, so I'm going to do my best to look at facts and present a reasonable opinion on what's happening surrounding the case, what happened in the case, and all of that. So I've got some friends that live in the Louisville area, and I know they are all pretty super upset about it. And so this one kind of hits close to home for me because they're all paying super close attention to it. So let's take a look at this NBC article. Deeply reckless. Critics slam leaked police memo about Breonna Taylor. Danger Will Robinson. Yes, I am aware. So a leaked Louisville Metro Police Department memo shows investigators had more evidence than previously made public, showing a connection between Breonna Taylor and the main target of the narcotics probe that led officers to barge into her home the night she was shot dead by police. Okay, so the key phrase here is that investigators had more evidence than previously made public, showing connection between Breonna Taylor and the main target of the narcotics probe. That is the main piece of information here. His original story was that police broke into this random girl's home and shot her in her sleep, and she had nothing to do with this alleged drug dealer. That was the original story. So then it goes on to say, but the memo was written several weeks after Taylor's death and includes details that weren't provided to the judge in the search warrant application, as well as evidence that came to light after her death. The leaked memo, obtained by NBC News, addresses why the officer sought a warrant to enter Taylor's apartment, but says nothing about the use of force or possible violations of Louisville Police Department's policy, such as the blind firing of bullets into the neighboring apartments. Okay, so that is a huge issue. That is one of the biggest issues in this entire case. The two police officers, there were three police officers in the case. Two of them entered through the front door. They knocked on the door. They didn't announce themselves. They broke through the door. Then Taylor's boyfriend thought they were victims of a home invasion, so he shot one bullet, struck one police officer in the leg, and then the one that wasn't shot, the other two police fired back. One was in the doorway still, and one was outside and shot through the window, blindly into the apartment, through the blinds, which were closed. And so that is like the worst possible response by the police in this entire case. Worst possible response. And I think at least the one police officer who was outside needs to be charged with at least breaking of police policy. So let's take a look at the original story that this NBC article is talking about. Report details why Louisville police decided to forcibly search Breonna Taylor's home. An interim report written by Louisville Metro Police after officers fatally shot Breonna Taylor on March 13th sheds more light on the reasons why they chose to forcibly enter her South End apartment the night she was killed. It provides no explanation or evidence aimed at justifying the shooting that was sparked 3 months, or that has sparked 3 months of protests in Louisville and national outrage, with critics accusing police of breaking into the home of an unarmed black woman for no legitimate reason and killing her. Remember, that was the original story. Police breaking into the home of an unarmed black woman for no legitimate reason and killing her. However, new evidence came out, and this came out about 3.5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago now. August 27th is when this Breonna Taylor memo was released, and people still don't know of its existence, which is crazy to me, because it's been out for 4 weeks, like I said. The 39-page report and corroborating evidence do show that Taylor had more extensive ties than previously made public with an accused drug trafficker who is at the center of a larger narcotics investigation in Louisville. It is not known if details included in the report were presented to the judge who signed the controversial no-knock warrant for Taylor's apartment. Okay, so one way to fix issues like this, make sure they never happen again, ban no-knock warrants. Get rid of them. And the Louisville, Kentucky legislature has already done this. They've banned no-knock warrants, and from now on, any officer that is executing a warrant has to wear a body camera. So 2 of the police officers in this case were fired. One, the police officer who was outside, shot through the window. He was fired for breaking policy, shooting through the window blindly. The other officer, who I believe the one who was not shot, was fired because they weren't wearing body cameras. And before the shooting happened, they told the ambulance that was on standby to just go ahead and leave. They didn't think it was getting violent. So those were a few of the really kind of shaky ground things that happened. So, the findings of the report, corroborated by jail phone recordings and other documents obtained by the Courier Journal, detail multiple links between Taylor and Jamarcus Glover of Louisville, a main target in a drug probe that prompted police to request the search warrant of Taylor's apartment. Plainclothes officers that night battered in her door, searching for drugs and illicit cash. None were found. That's another important piece of information. None were found. No drugs, no cash. Glover was arrested the same night as Taylor's shooting. He was picked up at an alleged drug house 10 miles to the north in Louisville's West End. He was released on bail but is now a fugitive after failing to post a new bail set at $50,000 when he was charged again last month. So there is a bunch of information linking the two. For one, Glover's car was impounded, I believe it was. His car was impounded, and he listed her number as his own contact to kind of dispute it. And they had a few other small interactions like that, including one where he was picking up packages from her front door. And so that's why the police were there that night. What all happened, we'll talk about in a second. But the police were there because she was suspected of trafficking drugs for him. And so that's why the police were there. I do not think their response to this was correct. I think it could have gone much better. It definitely could have gone much better. They should not have fired blindly through the window. All that being said, oh, not that one, this one. I don't know that the killing of Breonna Taylor is criminally chargeable. I'm not certain of that. Simply because there prior to the shooting, there was no law on the books keeping police from firing in self-defense against other people in their own homes. That's kind of my take on this. So the police broke in, legal gun owner fired in self-defense, and then the cops fired in self-defense. And so it's a little bit of a murky ground as to the charging and what's going to happen. So the reason I bring up this is the Louisville Courier Journal is center-left, left-center, with high factual reporting rating by this media bias fact check. So now, with the decision to be delivered here in about 2 minutes, Louisville is going under curfew, and oh, come on, get rid of that. Louisville on edge as the case is about to be delivered. So let's pull that up and we can all watch together. So in about a minute, we're going to see what happens. Can't go full screen. So I've got some friends in the Louisville area, as I said, and their predictions are kind of all over the place. I've got one friend who doesn't think anything's going to happen to the cops. Thinks they're just going to be let go and not charged for anything. I tend to kind of, oh gosh, get rid of that. I tend to kind of agree with that nothing's going to happen to them, just because, like I said, legally, this is all on super shaky grounds. And I'm not really sure what laws they would be able to indict these officers for murder was. So for those of you who don't know, for something to be legally considered murder, there has to be intent. If there's no intent to kill, then it can't be as murder. Waiting for PBS NewsHour. Okay. Now we're waiting on PBS. Come on. If it'll load. Need some elevator music going. Let's try this again.
We've given you a 40-cent raise.
Oh,
Peyton,
stupid ads.
Congratulations. I can still picture that exact moment.
Because, as you said, Breonna Taylor was an innocent person in her home, and for no fault of her own, she ended up riddled with bullets, literally, shot to death multiple times by police who were executing a no-knock warrant, an unwisely granted warrant, but perhaps legally granted, legally approved.
So former officer Brett Hankinson charged with wanton endangerment in Breonna Taylor case. So Hankinson is the one who was outside, who shot through the window into the apartment.
Difficult to get murder or manslaughter indictments against the police officers, but I think a lot of people will be disappointed, and a lot of people will be angry that the one officer who was charged is not being charged for firing into Breonna Taylor's apartment at all, apparently, if I understood correctly, but firing indiscriminately into another apartment in the complex, and that's so. To a lot of people, it will look as if Breonna Taylor's wrongful death is not going to be punished, and that's a problem. That's the vagaries of the legal system. But as you said, it's been a very difficult summer.
That's exactly what I said. The vagaries of the legal system are not clear on what's going to happen to these police officers. It's not clear that these police officers are even. It's not clear whether or not these officers can be charged at all. I think. Oh gosh, missed that. There is a vast difference between tragic and criminal.
Former officer who actually fired the weapon during that no-knock raid we were speaking of a moment ago. Blaine Alexander at the Louisville Metro Department of Corrections. Blaine, we know that the city has been put on a state of emergency prior to this announcement in case there are any outbursts or violent reaction, and we know that protesters are gathering.
I talked a little bit about that already. The entire Louisville area, or the downtown area, is on lockdown. The entire city of Louisville has a 9 p.m. curfew, and there is a radius, as you can see right here, these blocks are being set up.
On this street, if you look over here a little bit, you see the police department boarded up windows. And Lester, this is really what you see by and large if you go a block away, 2 blocks away. If you walk through downtown, largely this is what you're seeing. Trucks blocking off traffic, windows boarded up, people preparing for what they fear will be some sort of unrest tonight. Now, I've got to say, in talking with protesters since I've been here in Louisville, traveling here a few weeks ago, they have been very clear in what they wanted to see and what they believe would be a satisfactory outcome, and they said all along that they want to see the 3 officers involved arrested. Now, even when I was speaking with an organizer yesterday, he's been in the streets of Louisville now protesting for months, and he said that he believes that anything less than that would be a gross miscarriage of justice. So that's the backdrop that we have. That's what we have now, knowing what the decision is. That's kind of the concern as we go into the night and what we could expect coming up. Lester.
All right, Blaine, thank you very much. We're now joined by NBC News legal contributor Barbara McQuaid. Barbara, talk about the impact of these 3 charges, which were, as we talked about, on the lower end of a range of options here, and what message that sends as we look at other cases involving interactions and violent interactions between police and African Americans.
Well, Lester, I think this case is a great demonstration of the difference between law and justice. It seems that these crimes are what the grand jury thought most appropriately fit the crime, and yet I think most of us feel a sense of outrage that a life was lost and the charge is only reckless indifference. It seems that second-degree manslaughter, which is for wanton disregard and a death results, would be the more appropriate crime here. But one of the things to remember is how favorably the law is written for police officers. I think when most of us hear about an attack like this, we put ourselves...
Okay, so here's, let me rewind that just a tidge. Here's the counts, or here's what he was charged with and found guilty of. 3 counts of wanton endangerment in the first degree, and penalty per count. So up to 5 years per count, so up to 15 years in prison, and up to a $30,000 fine. This is all together, upwards of. So this is what he was indicted on. So let's go look at the legal definition of wanton endangerment. Wanton endangerment, first degree. Let's see here. Louisville Law Blog. First degree wanton endangerment is a person is guilty of wanton endangerment in the first degree when, under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to the value of human life, he wantonly engages in conduct which creates a substantial danger of death or serious physical injury to another person. First degree wanton endangerment is a Class D felony punishable with fines up to $10,000 and up to 5 years in prison. So that's exactly what he got. 3 charges. One for Breonna Taylor, one for her boyfriend, and I'm not sure what the other one would be for. But looks like that's the decision, and the other 2 got off. When someone is usually charged with a wanton endangerment, pointing a gun at someone, firing a weapon, or DUI. So there you go. That's the decision on the Breonna Taylor case. We talked a little bit about the case. Now we see the results. Let's continue watching.
Officers were being held accountable. They are, of course, I'm happy that that settlement was reached, but this is really going to be a sad day for them and a sad day for a lot of African Americans that I've been talking to who are bracing for these officers to not be charged in a way that feels as though Breonna Taylor's life is really being honored and valued in a way that she would be if she was, frankly, someone who was not African American.
All right, Yamiche, thank you. We're looking again shots from Louisville. There are people who are gathering right now. There is going to be disappointment. There is going to be outrage. Hopefully, there will be calm. Let's go to Gabe Gutierrez right now, who can give us a sense of the reaction you're seeing, at least there around that memorial for Breonna Taylor. Gabe.
Hi, Lester.
Okay. Yeah, I also am hoping for peace tonight. I'm hoping there won't be riots. I'm not expecting it. I'm expecting everything to get pretty out of hand pretty quickly. So if you are in the Louisville area, I hope you guys can stay safe. I hope you guys stay safe. Hope you guys are able to avoid all of this backlash that is sure to follow. Until then, I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow.